decided to open this mid me getting ready because I do not want to forget to open this vlog. I'm very, very excited for this vlog. It's just going to be a day vlog. It's not going to go on forever and ever. There's no actual promises of that, but the idea is that I'm just going to take you with me for Pride. Pride in Japan does happen every year. A lot of people don't know that Pride happens in Japan, but it does. And this one is extra exciting because we are going to Nagoya Pride, and Nagoya actually just labeled not being able to have same-sex marriages as unconstitutional. That happened like 2-3 days ago. I'll stick the article down below in both Japanese and English if I can find it. But yeah, that is super exciting. Everyone's really pumped, and I'm also really surprised that I get to go to Pride because it looked like this yesterday. So that's the remnants of a typhoon, which would have been super homophobic, except for Pride starts at 11, and the weather right now says that it's going to start being sunny right at 11. That's fantastic. We all knew that Mother Nature was gay, and I'm glad that it's on the record. I don't know all of what we're going to do. This is my first Pride in Japan. I've gone to Pride in Portland, Oregon, in the United States. Don't know exactly what to expect, and if this is your first Pride in Japan, welcome. We're gonna experience this together. I guess I can also take this opportunity to say I'm not super stoked on labeling myself in any way, but I'm not just going as an ally. I really dig the they thems, but I also really like she her. I like all of it. It's all really cool and jazzy, and like it just doesn't matter to me personally. Let's see, what do I not like? Because I like most things. Ma'am is not great. Wife. A lot of female pronouns that have like just very strong femaleness to them, I guess. Queen, not a fan of queen. I love queens, but I'm not a queen. Most everything works for me. Like she, her does not bother me at all. You don't have to be paranoid about what you call me whatsoever. I won't be bothered. It's just one of those things where if it doesn't hit right, I'll be kind of like, haha, you really think that, don't you? That's all I really got. Sorry, it's not really very well defined on purpose because that's how I prefer it. I just like to be myself. You know, at school, I make sure people call me Jade because that's my name, not Miss Jade or anything like that. I'm not shy about it. It's just not like, it's not a topic that interests me when talking about myself personally most of the time, but it is Pride Month and I am going to Pride, and you know, it begs the question. And since I feel I am in a safe space to answer the question, I shall. It's hard to really go wrong with me. It won't hurt me or anything like that. But that is not permission for people to not be wary or respectful of other people's pronouns, preferences, or anything like that. So this is not a universal permission to just hope for the best and be defensive of the worst. Be kind, be respectful, and don't come off as like a hateful curmudgeon, because nobody likes that. I accidentally left the camera on for the whole time of me curling my hair, so there goes battery life and storage space, but you know, that's cool. So yes, I really did just curl my hair so I could uncurl it, just because I want it to be really low maintenance and it's gonna get ruined in the wind, so I'd rather have control over the action and just ruin it myself. let's talk. Because we definitely haven't spoken in about 24 hours. I'm not looking my best right now, but I think it's not going to improve throughout the day, because I'm tired. We were out all night, all day, all night. We were in Nagoya for Pride, and it was so much fun. We met a lot of really amazing people. It's such a cool community here because you're blending just so many things. But I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. I do just want to talk about Pride and LGBTQ plus community things in Japan that I have noticed. I have to preface this by saying this is my own personal experience. I'm not speaking for everyone. People have had wonderful experiences where it's been life-changing, and other people have had terrible experiences where it's changed their life for the worse. There's just so many different experiences out there. I highly encourage you to not just watch this video. If you're looking to move to Japan and you want to know what it's like to live here and be part of the LGBTQ plus community, there's just a lot more research to do than me. I'm just someone who really had a lot of fun at Pride yesterday and want to talk about my experiences as an ALT teaching in Japan and incorporating in inclusive language and just the experiences I've had thus far. I've been here for about a year and a half, so again, my experiences are not wide and vast as it is. First off, yesterday was my first Pride in Japan. Currently, how Nagoya has it set up, it's almost set up like a marketplace and has different companies and merchandise. Some local merchants as well as larger companies such as IKEA have stationed there, and they have like different merch you can buy. There was live music and then people just mingling, and then you could also get a wristband for free and join the parade, which was probably the best part and the part I thought I was going to like the least. Not because I don't like parades, but because it was just like slow walking in a giant crowd of people I didn't know. But it was so much fun. Once we had kind of gone through the different shops and like met and talked with people, we got some food lined up, and it was a long wait. The Pride Parade still followed the traffic laws, and it was a long wait. We waited a long time for the parade to start. Because Nagoya Pride was still following the traffic laws, we had to wait at crosswalks for the parade, and then we'd like all dash across to the next crosswalk. They had music like pumping out while we were all celebrating Pride through the streets of Nagoya. It felt very community driven, and I felt like a lot of like kindred energy. And it was also nice because this is the first time I have seen a Pride parade without a counter protest also taking place. The people on the streets who were just seeing Pride for either the first time or just not knowing about what was going on looked either curious or supportive. I didn't come across any negativity from the crowds that were passing by whatsoever. That was really nice and not what I'm used to. That might differ place to place, that might differ experience to experience, but I had to point out that like Nagoya Pride was really, really welcoming and fun. I think it was still a little bit disorganized, and I think that they could still really expand, changing the location to something more predominantly like in the center or focus of Nagoya versus in a like lower level of not a building but an outdoor pavilion area could be improved. And then, you know, maybe like stopping traffic in a certain district so that we have a route to go and we don't have to rush through the crosswalks, which kind of was fun. We're supposed to be making a statement. We're supposed to be stopping people. We are supposed to be, it's a parade. I don't have to go into what a parade is. That was my experience with the actual Pride event that happened in Nagoya yesterday. Now I'd like to just talk about my experiences in general. I am in the countryside of Japan. I'm not in a major city. If you're moving to Japan and you're nervous about the countryside, I will be making a video all about how I feel about living out in the countryside, but it was requested for me and I am definitely more of a countryside person. I didn't know really what to expect, but I was kind of assuming that because it's the countryside in America, that usually means that it's a little harder to find open-minded people, but that has not been the case for me specifically whatsoever. I've found a great ALT community that's very open, honest, accepting, inclusive. We have a colorful array of people, and I am really happy that I know them and that it was pretty easy to connect through different avenues such as Facebook, the Line app, and then just going to local community events and just being around has been really nice for finding people. Even just last night, we met a lot of ALTs because ALTs know other ALTs from different companies, not just Jet, but we all just kind of find each other. So I like made friends last night, and that was really exciting. I'm still able to make friends, but you have to go out. It can be hard to come by if you just stay at home. So I would recommend that, and so far my experience has been positive as far as finding a community that has queer aspects. As far as teaching goes, so teaching as an ALT can vary person to person a lot. I have the privilege of working with two schools that are very welcoming, inviting, and wanting to gain more understanding, knowledge of different cultures. They want my input, and that is not always the case. That's not always what happens. I did push myself at the very beginning because I knew these schools had not had an ALT before, so I was kind of getting a clean slate to set up what an ALT at a school should look like. And because I didn't know what that looked like, I just kind of came up with my ideal, which was to be really involved in the teaching process. I'm still an assistant, but I do have a lot of involvement. I am at part of the English teacher meetings, and when we talk to each other, it's more of a collaborative involvement instead of a request for me to do errands or other activities. This leads into the queer topic because I have been able to incorporate pronouns into our lesson plans. So we're not just learning she went to the grocery store, he went to the grocery store, but they went to the grocery store. And things like, my name is Bob. Oh, my name is Sarah. Nice to meet you. What pronouns do you go by? This sounds really contrived, but it's actually a really big major step in normalizing it, and it has been helpful in me being able to incorporate in other elements of LGBTQ conversation into English because there's an involvement in English. It's been really fun, and I've had a lot more questions from students coming into it because they're understanding that it's just a normal thing that's being taught. It does kind of just go into all of my lessons. I try and be really inclusive when we are having mock conversations or if I'm just speaking to students one-on-one anyway. It's opened a door and it's been really nice. I wasn't really expecting that door to be as open because coming from the United States, there's a stigma attached to having these conversations. That doesn't mean that those stigmatized conversations aren't happening at other schools with other teachers and other experiences. So far for me, it's been a really clean slate, and I feel like it's brought in a lot of positivity. When I donated a queer YA book to my library, my librarian made a special advertisement for it. I was able to let students know that they exist. So far, I have been encouraged. I have at my other school, my PE teachers putting together a lesson plan that includes a section on trans and LGBTQ community representation and healthy or safe ways to come out to your friends and family members and making it okay. It's not perfect, but it's something, and it feels progressive, and it feels really, like I said earlier, encouraging. That's not to say, again, that there's nothing wrong with it. I've said several times, clean slate, and I really do mean that. Sometimes I'll be having a conversation and it's the first time that someone has ever heard of LGBTQ, or they'll have a really strong misunderstanding of what something means. These conversations can be frustrating, especially if you're part of the community and you just want to be understood, felt, and seen. And I applaud anyone who is able to openly and bravely be able to be walking through Japan as their authentic selves, dealing with all of those frustrations and fears because, it's a lot. I have not come across a negative conversation that couldn't be turned around and better understood. I think that the culture is very different here, and most of the conversations I've been having at the baseline is all about curiosity and just trying to understand, and a lot of my teachers, from their point of view, are just wanting to move forward in a way that allows their students to be interactive in their universities and possible Western cultures for abroad programs. They want their students to succeed in a modern era, so they are trying to learn in order to better incorporate that in. A lot of the time, it can be very surface level and it just comes down to rainbows. I have heard from a couple of the students that have spoken to me who have since graduated that it can be hard to be queer in Japan as a student. One of my students had a lot of frustrations and was out, but said that it was difficult to come out because it's often seen as being a more foreign entity and a foreigner thing to be part of the community, and it's harder for Japanese people to feel that they can be part of the community. A recent statistic I read was that 70% of the population of Japan is completely okay, welcomes the idea of, or is neutral towards gay marriage. However, the current prime minister is not. You can be in a queer partnership, but it will not have the same benefits, and on a government level will not be treated the same. This has been very frustrating, not just for foreigners coming into Japan and feeling illegitimized, but also for Japanese people who are in these couplings and are not able to live their full authentic lives. I am not going to be able to bridge every gap. I'm not going to be able to fix every situation. I can just bring the situation to your attention, and I am encouraged by the small amount I'm able to do on a countryside to school ground level. But I think that making people aware of the fact that there are nooks and crannies where we can fit inclusion in, where we can bring it to people's attention, where we can speak about it openly and positively if we feel safe or if it's possible. I think that that can make a lot of difference. I have to also applaud the other ALTs that I have worked with or around that are adding information to their English boards talking about June and about Pride Month, to those who felt safe enough to let their students know that they were going to Pride and met up with all of us in Nagoya and were openly just themselves. A lot of ALTs can be role models to their students, not all ALTs and not with all students, but it can really cause, I think, a difference and a change. And I've seen that on a very small micro ground level, which I know can be discouraging to some because it is such a small microcosm of a larger problem, but it can also be really encouraging in your just day-to-day life. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and this is a bit heavy for me. I am a little hungover, but it's important, and I wanted to make sure I shared this experience while it was still all fresh in my head and while I'm still like jacked on Pride. So I hope this was informational for you. If you have other information you'd like to link down below or share your experiences, positive or negative, I think it could help a lot of people in making their decision of whether they'd want to move to Japan, or people in Japan and how they can help. That is by no means an invitation to be unkind or hateful in the comments. I don't even look at those. I delete them immediately. So if you have anything hateful to say, it will just go into the void. But if you have anything constructive to say, feedback-wise, I am always happy to hear it. Either way, I hope you're enjoying your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!